Welcome to Pitch Perfect, compelling business presentations, essential ideas worth investing in, where you learn to pitch to captivate your audience. I'm Mark Gilboard, the WESST Incubator Director, and I'll be presenting some ideas today about how to talk persuasively and professionally about your business or business idea. Today's goals are to create an example of an elevator pitch. Ideally, we'll be able to practice delivering that elevator pitch and find constructive feedback to refine your presentation skills for the future. The training topics we will address today are an introduction to public speaking concepts. I'm going to explain how the business model canvas can be a visual guide to present your business plan and business ideas to an audience. We're going to master the value proposition, where you understand your target market. These are both parts of the business model canvas. And we're going to turn the problem and solution of your business into an elevator pitch. We are going to practice delivering pitches, and I want you to understand what an investor pitch deck looks like and how you might structure it. I'd like to introduce myself first. I'm Mark Gilboard. I've been with WESST since 2017. I came to WESST after a career in advertising and marketing, about 18 years, and throughout that time and before, I taught public speaking and communication courses at both the University of New Mexico and Central New Mexico Community College. I direct the incubator at WESST, where we bring companies to come live with us at our 37,000 square foot facility adjacent to downtown Albuquerque. We're a mixed-use incubator that has young companies looking to grow and scale, and they can be service businesses, labs, chemical companies. We have a soap company here at the incubator. We have a mushroom farm at the incubator. We have a hiring agency, and many other businesses that serve the community in Albuquerque, the state of New Mexico, and beyond. I'd like to start by talking a little bit about what public speaking is. Perhaps you've taken an in-person training class or even a Zoom training class with WEST or another organization. And whether you realize it or not, when you introduce yourself and where you're from and maybe your business or your business idea, you are mentally preparing to present to the class. Maybe you jot down some quick notes. That's all part of the preparation involved in public speaking. Public speaking has 3 simple steps that can be practiced and mastered by just about anyone. The first step is mental preparation and breathing. When you jot down quick notes, breathe through presenting it to an audience, maybe online or in person, you are starting to understand what public speaking is all about. When you understand your brain activity, your preparation, your breathing, you are ready for the next step of public speaking, which is understanding vocal variety and making a simple outline for your speech. When you understand that everyone gets performance apprehension, which is a little bit of anxiety about speaking, and you understand where it comes from, you can focus on your vocal variety and your breathing, your tone, your volume, your inflection, emphasis, and you can create and develop the skills to become a public speaker. The next step in speaking, for public speaking, is to create an outline for you to follow and structure the main points of what you're going to say. In a typical training class, that would be introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Explain your business idea or your business. And finally, tell us what you'd like to get out of the class. So in preparation, you might jot those 3 things down quickly and make some notes to structure those main points. That's the same as creating a speech outline. Then, after you've done that mental preparation, a little bit of breathing, vocal variety, and outlining your speech, all that remains is to practice and deliver. Not stand and deliver, as you can see in the photo there, but practice and deliver. Make some slides, use your phone, use a mirror, use a visual cue, a meme, pictures, diagrams, and then practice and deliver. Use your phone to record it, work on your facial expressions and your tone, and then you'll be able to master public speaking. It just takes a few simple steps and practicing what you've learned. So, this would be the part where we would share a business idea. We can use it to explain the business model and a business plan. I'll use a simple business that we all understand and know to explain what a business model is and what the business model canvas is. The business model canvas is a visual representation of any business, and it's important to understand for running your own business, but also for creating compelling business ideas that people would invest in. So, a business model defines 9 essential things that every business has. A business model tells us what your product or service is, what you need to produce it, who can help you produce it, how much it costs to produce it, where you sell it, how you sell it, who you're going to sell your products or services to, how they're going to pay you, and lastly, why it's different from other products and services out there that may be very similar or even the exact same as your product or service. Now let's talk a little bit about what a business model is not. A business model is not your marketing plan. It's not your differentiation strategy. And when I say differentiation strategy, that's just a fancy way to say how to tell the difference between your product and somebody else's product. Let's take a product here in New Mexico that there are many of, something like salsa. If you make salsa and have won awards and make a great salsa, how are you going to differentiate that salsa from other salsas in the marketplace? Because we all know there's 10, 15, 20, 30 salsas when we go to some of our local markets, whether they're an outdoor market or a supermarket or store. There are so many salsas in New Mexico. And so one thing that your business model does not do, but that a business plan would do, is talk about how you're going to market and your differentiation strategy for that salsa, for example. Another thing a model does not do is show the legal or organizational structure and management of your company. It's very important for every company to have a management structure or an organizational structure. You've got the owner or CEO. You might have some key C-suite level people like a chief operating officer or a chief marketing officer. You might have a VP of sales. Those are all important parts of your business plan, but they're not part of the business model. And the couple other things that aren't in a business model that are in a business plan are maybe understanding an analysis of your company, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, what we would call a SWOT analysis or general risk understanding of your company. That's an important part of a business plan, but it's not part of a business model. And lastly, a very critical part of every business plan is going to show financial projections. Maybe it's a cash flow projection or a simple balance sheet, or even if you've been in business for a while, you've got some financial records, your past tax returns. Those kinds of things in a business plan or in a business plan for growth can be very important, but they are not part of a business model. So a visual representation of what I'm talking about is that your business model is part of a business plan. It might fit inside your overall business plan. Your business model plus other very important information that I just discussed, SWOT analysis, financial projections, marketing plan, those things plus your business model are part of a business plan. So, what is the business model canvas? As you can see here, it's 9 essential building blocks that make up every business. Every business can be mapped this way, whether it's an app that's going to revolutionize travel in the world or a very simple concept like perhaps a hair salon. They can all be mapped with 9 essential building blocks that I can discuss with you here. There are a few videos out there on YouTube and in other places that can help explain very simply what a business model canvas is and how to create your own. We aren't going to have time to do this today, but I invite you to take a class on business model canvas, perhaps any of the classes that WESST offers on this topic, or to go to YouTube or some other video service and look up the business model generation or business model canvas by any number of organizations. Strategizer is a very good organization that produces a lot of the videos that we use in our training classes and that are available for the general public. So let's take a look at the business model canvas and focus on two critical elements for understanding how to create an investor pitch deck and make a compelling presentation that might result in someone investing in your business. As you can see from the visual, there are 9 building blocks to every business. The best places to start to understand this are 2 long segments on the right-hand side of the business model canvas, and they are the value proposition and your customer segments. Customer segments are the groups of people that buy your product or service. You can have 1 or 2 customer segments, or you can have 9 or 10 customer segments. The important part is to understand the difference between the different kinds of customers you have for your product or service and how you sell to them. That takes up the majority of the right-hand side of the canvas. Your value proposition are the features and benefits of your product or service. Maybe it's the differentiation of your product and service, and it's the persuasive parts of why people buy your product and service. It also can help explain the problem that your product or service helps to solve in your customers' lives. So if we look at one of these canvases filled in with some guiding questions, you can see that the value proposition in the center is what is your product or service, why it's different from other products and services, and what the problem you are solving for. You also might add a little note that says it's the features and benefits of your product or service. And your customer segments are who you are selling to and what are their, quote, jobs to be done. We're going to talk a lot about the jobs to be done. And don't forget the critical part of the right-hand side of this canvas, which is 5 building blocks: the value proposition, the customer relationships, the customer segments, your sales channels, and your revenue streams, are that revenue stream. That's where you make the money, become profitable, and they result from your value proposition being successfully offered to your customer segments by mastering and operationalizing this entire business model canvas. So although we're not going to go over it today, except for the value proposition and the customer segments, this entire 9 building block canvas is critical in creating compelling presentations about your business so that people can invest in it. So let's define the value proposition. It's a clear statement that describes the benefit of what you offer, how you solve the problem of your customers' needs, and what distinguishes you from the competition. It says to potential customers, buy my product and service for this specific benefit or these benefits. It must be something that the competition cannot or does not offer. Because if you are creating a business, let's just say a hair salon, and you want it to be pretty much the exact same thing as Supercuts, it's very unlikely that you will succeed in that business because you're not offering a unique value that doesn't already exist in the marketplace. It's probably going to be difficult for you to do haircuts cheaper and quicker and more transactionally than Supercuts because it's a giant company with an advertising budget and franchisees that buy into a system that already exists. And you are not likely to be a good candidate for investment if you have the exact same value proposition as some other existing company. Now, that's not always true. For example, take Lyft and Uber. They pretty much are the same company, and they both are somewhat financially successful. So it can be done, but it takes an extreme amount of investment and it takes an extreme level of target consumer. Essentially, Lyft said, maybe we can beat Uber to the marketplace, Maybe we can be a slightly different kind of company with a maybe kinder, friendlier value than Uber. And they try to be unique even though they're essentially the same thing. I don't recommend choosing a strategy that's extremely similar to some other company in the marketplace in order to succeed. You've got to be unique and distinguishable from another marketplace competitor. You must also have a value proposition that's strong enough to what we call move the masses. You've got to attract a high level of new customers and be able to scale rapidly, maybe 10 times the existing customers you have, or to be able to scale with investment, which remember is the ultimate goal of your business presentation, so that if you were to do 10 times or 50 times or 100 times the amount of customers, that would be worthy of investment. So you must have a strong enough value proposition to be able to move the masses and attract large numbers of new customers, which can be very difficult in a competitive marketplace. Let's look at some quick examples. Once again, Uber. This is an example of Uber's value proposition. Uber is the smartest way to get around. One tap on your phone and a car comes directly to you. Your driver knows exactly where you're going and your payment is completely cashless. So let's think about that value proposition and who they're trying to compete with. Before Uber came to the marketplace, they were basically just cabs that you were able to buy or use their services. And in a cab, the driver doesn't know where you want to go until you say, take me to the train station. And they might not know the best way to get there from your house. They might have to only take cash. Well, Uber had a unique value proposition in that you could do it on your phone with an app, press buttons, pay through your phone, and not have to worry about calling a cab company, the cab dispatcher finding a driver for you, the driver getting to your house quickly, the driver, once they were at your house, understanding how to get to the train station, and those types of things. So Uber and Lyft had a very unique value proposition. That's why they were ripe candidates for mass investment. Another example is something called Crazy Egg. Perhaps you've never heard of Crazy Egg, but what they are is a website service company that does something called a heat map and analytics for your website. So saying something like Crazy Egg is like a pair of X-ray glasses that lets you see exactly what people are doing on your website is an easy way to understand their unique value proposition. The way most people measure their website's value and their website's efficiency and their website's ability to convert customers is just the end product. How many people go to the cart? How many people buy your product or service on the website? But Crazy Egg is a service that lets you see through this thing called heat maps where people are trailing their mouse over your site. It's an analytics tool that helps you see how many people scroll down, where they click, where they go to before they click, and to really understand how to improve your website for customer experience. With Crazy Egg, you can get insights to make changes that will have a return on your investment. You can use your web budget for your company to be more efficient on your website. It can prioritize your redesign. It can help you redesign. And one thing that Crazy Egg offers, especially at larger companies, is the web team, the programmers, the people that work in web marketing can help their bosses, the people that pay the bills, that make the big decisions, understand how people are using websites. So Crazy Egg can be an effective analytics tool to help the powers that be at your company understand what's happening on your website. And that's a very unique value. Okay, so in order to understand value proposition and see how to fill out something called the value proposition canvas, which is an activity that you should all do with the forms and sheets that we can provide for you, is to watch a couple of videos on what the value proposition canvas looks like and how you fill it out, and then to give you a quick example as well. I've made available to you a few videos to help you understand better how to fill out a value proposition canvas. Here are 3 videos that can help you along this journey from going from idea to business, or from your existing business and business idea to be worthy of investment. The first one is Strategizer's Value Proposition Canvas Explained. It helps you understand the individual pieces of a value proposition canvas to help you form a problem-solution framing for your business or business idea. Another one is the Value Proposition Canvas by executive coach Josephine Campbell. She does a nice job of explaining in regular terms how to fill out the value proposition canvas. And finally, we look at a specific part of the value proposition canvas that is one of the more difficult ones to understand, and that is the concept of jobs to be done. In it, a professor at Harvard Business School helps us, using a McDonald's example, understand the jobs that people are trying to get done when they buy a milkshake from McDonald's. This will be a key video to help you understand the persuasive parts of pitching your business for investment. I hope you enjoy the videos. I've also provided a couple of other videos for further study, including a longer video of 10+ minutes that helps walk you through the entire value proposition canvas as well, and one entirely in Spanish that I find to be of especially high quality. Additionally, we've made available to you some worksheets to help you complete the value proposition canvas. One is a worksheet for you to fill out so that you may create the visual representation of your value map and your target market. Remember, these activities are to help you understand those 2 key blocks of the business model canvas. In order to do that, you should fill out a worksheet that looks something like this. Start on this side with the description of your product and services, features and benefits. Then, figure out the gains and pains that are available to people through your product and service. Afterwards, figure out the jobs to be done. If you need to watch the video of the McDonald's milkshake explanation a couple of times, that might be valuable. There are also other videos online about the jobs to be done framework for filling out the value proposition canvas. This is just an easy worksheet to help you list cleanly the aspects that you will need to fill out your value proposition canvas. The value proposition canvas looks like this. So, how do you understand your value proposition? On the one side, you've got your customer segment. On the other, you've got your value map, or how you start to talk about your value proposition. On the customer segment, think about the different customers that your business idea or business might have. So let's take, once again for an example, the hair salon. Your customer segments in your hair salon are probably many, but let's lay them out in a nice list. 1, professional women. Women who need to do their hair in a way that's trendy, that's not old-fashioned, that works for them in their modern workplace, and probably that is easy to do by themselves in the morning when they get ready. Another customer segment might be the same, but men. Men have different hairstyles, different needs, different ways they do their hair, and they are a different customer segment. You might have another customer segment of young people, maybe teens. That could be another customer segment. They have different needs that will map on this jobs to be done framework in this value proposition canvas worksheet. As I mentioned, with professional women, the jobs to be done are things like looking professional for their coworkers and for their business success. They need it to be able to get ready in a good amount of time in the morning. Maybe that's 20 minutes, maybe that's 40 minutes, maybe that's an hour. But they have a need, a job to be done that's probably functional, quick, being able to get their hair done quickly by themselves, be able to repeat the haircut in a stylish way, is a functional job to be done. They probably have a social job to be done too, like looking trendy, feeling respected by their peers. Self-esteem might be an emotional job to be done. Being stress-free when they create their haircut in the morning, when they create their hairstyle, right? Those are functional, social, and emotional jobs to be done for your different haircut customer segments. Does everybody understand that? From these jobs to be done, we can figure out the gains and the pains for our customer segment part of our value proposition canvas. The gains are extra benefits, like things that are love-to-haves or a surprising delight, like, for example, a haircut that works easily as well at work as it does when they go out for fun. That would be a gain that they are creating through your haircuts, that you create for your customer through the way you offer your haircuts. The pain might be a problem or an obstacle they're achieving. As I mentioned, getting your hair done quickly in the morning is a pain. It's a problem that needs to be overcome and to be achieved every morning before work with a hairstyle or haircut. Similarly, they need to be able to, any customer, whether it's a woman, a man, a teen, any of those customer segments, needs to overcome an obstacle to be able to get their hair done in a special way for the nighttime, for going out or attracting a mate. Those are pains or problems that need to be overcome and achieved in this customer segment part of your value proposition canvas. Does everybody understand this construction and worksheet for the customer segment? Number one, fill out the jobs to be done in terms of function, in terms of social needs, in terms of emotional needs, and make a list. Secondly, figure out those extra benefits, those love-to-haves, those surprising delights in the gains that are to be made from the product or service. And lastly, what are those pains that are overcome by the customer through your product or service? And that's one side of your value proposition canvas. And start it here on this worksheet. Similarly, you're going to do your description of your product and service on the other side of your value proposition canvas. This is actually where you should begin the entire exercise. It's probably most easy for you, the creator of your business idea, the creator of your product or service, to know your features, benefits, and outline the specifics of your product and service. How do you help customers? What are the benefits customers get from your haircuts? How are you able to provide different products and services? A cut and color, a Brazilian blowout, a shampoo and cut. These are different products and services that you offer. You also might offer a high-quality shampoo or conditioner or styling gel that might only be available in your salon. These are all things that you should list in the description of your product or service part of your your value proposition canvas worksheet. Then move on to gain creators and pain relievers. These are the extra ways that you offer benefits to your customer. The pain relievers are ways that you've helped them avoid their problems. In a hair salon, a pain reliever is by showing them how to style quickly their hair. Maybe after you've given them a cut and color and you've styled it quickly, you undo it. In the salon, you quickly re-wet their hair and then you style it again. That would be a pain reliever or a gain creator that you've created in your product or service. You could provide a service where somebody shows up to your salon before they go out, and you can offer other services for weekend evenings, on-site at weddings or quinceañeras, that you're creating a gain for them through your salon, through your product and service that makes you unique. That is how you create an investable value in your business through this value proposition canvas, by offering other services, other products, ways to create gains for your customer, ways to relieve pains for your customer through this understanding of your value proposition. So, What might we do for a next step once we've created our value proposition canvas and we understand the jobs to be done, the pains, the gains, the pain relievers, and the gain creators that are made through our products and services? We will actually take this value proposition problem solution construct and turn it into an elevator pitch that you all will be able to deliver based on the knowledge you created through that canvas, through that exercise. Making an elevator pitch requires us to use some problem and solution thinking. How can you tell a story of solving a problem with your business or business idea, like the McDonald's milkshake story that the professor from Harvard Business School helped us to understand better, that created more value for McDonald's and made their sales explode? Well, the way you do that with your value proposition canvas is to note just a few of your customers' functional, social, and emotional needs they are trying to satisfy. That is what we would call the problem or the pains, right? That's that side of your your value proposition canvas worksheet that speaks to the problem that you are solving for. Then move to the other side of your sheet and look for those extra benefits, those gain creators, that ways your product and service helps them avoid their problems, right? Those pain relievers. Those are all part of the solution for your business and for your customers. That's how we think of a problem-solution approach to your business that makes it worthy of investment in a persuasive way. In order to go from this problem-solution thinking to an elevator pitch, we might be able to do it using the knowledge we gained from our business model canvas by creating a first introductory sentence to help us understand our presentation thinking. How am I going to present to potential investors the ideas that I have in my value proposition canvas? Once again, use your canvas to help create a sentence like, our products and services help our target customer who want to get these jobs done by overcoming this pain and having these gains, unlike a competitor. That's a very simple sentence construction to help start your presentation thinking and have a simple elevator pitch that you can use conversationally. It's a great starting point for using this value proposition canvas to create a simple sentence structure that incorporates all the persuasive pieces of the canvas. So take some time to fill out a sentence that says, our products and services help our target market who want to get this job done by overcoming this pain and having these gains, unlike a competitor. Work on that for a few moments when you have time. Secondarily, you might start a formal elevator pitch. But first, let's talk about the difference between a mission statement and an elevator pitch. If you've got an existing business, you've probably created a mission statement. They're a key element of helping people understand why you do what you do and being persuasive in your business sales, your website features, and things that help create a demand around your product or service. So let's look at WESST's mission statement, which has a concrete goal and philosophies and a why. It's a very important part of marketing your business and one that is essential for every business. I highly recommend you working with someone to create a mission statement if you don't already have one. But the difference between a mission statement and an elevator pitch is that an elevator pitch is a simple sentence or series of sentences focused on what you do, how it's unique, and who you're doing it for in a persuasive construction. Mission statements aren't meant to be persuasive, even though they can persuade. They're really just to have a goal and philosophy and a why around your business. Elevator pitches are made to be persuasive. So WEST's mission is, WEST is a home for entrepreneurs, providing a support system of consulting, training, lending, and incubation to help New Mexicans strengthen and grow their small business through sustainable business models, financial empowerment, and job creation. That's our mission. But WEST's elevator pitch is WEST is a home for entrepreneurs founded in 1989 by women for women. As a nonprofit, we offer consulting, training, lending, and incubation to help anyone with a passion to start or grow a small business. Each year, our committed team nurtures thousands of clients, helping them build small and sustainable businesses that support their families and communities throughout New Mexico. Now, that's a more complex, persuasive series of sentences that help you really want to do business with WEST. It helps you picture yourself taking our classes, being part of our consultations, and getting services from WEST because we've laid out essential elements that can help persuade. And those essential elements are this: a problem-solution way of thinking. What is the core of what you solve? What is your answer to that problem? These are those pains and gains from your value proposition canvas. Of course, you talk about your target market. For us, that's anyone with a passion to start or grow a small business. How are you faster, cheaper, and better? What's the competition? What's the differentiation? We have a team of consultants that nurture clients. So we're not professors. We're not people that tell you what to do and how to do it. We're people that nurture your ideas, work with you. That's our differentiation. We also have a team. We have skills. We have the right stuff. We have a secret sauce. That's part of an elevator pitch. And then we also can talk about financials or metrics. For us in WEST, in our elevator pitch, that was we nurture thousands of clients each year. And that's true. We have 7 offices throughout the state, and we nurture thousands of clients. So that's part of our metrics. And our milestone, since 1989. That's an important part of any persuasive sentence construction for an elevator pitch, where you're talking about how long you've been in business, what your level of expertise is, 30 years of combined experience, those kinds of things. That's a level of expertise or a milestone that can be persuasive in crafting an elevator pitch. So once you put together these 7 essential elements of an elevator pitch, you've made your business presentation more compelling, more persuasive, because you're touching upon the problem-solution way of getting to your target market in a persuasive, competitive, differentiated way. So how do you go from the value proposition canvas to the elevator pitch? Let me give you an example from a few years ago here in Albuquerque. We had a client that we'll call MedPlay. It was an app for getting treatment for athletic injuries. And the problem they were looking to solve was that the current healthcare system was too confusing and expensive and not well suited for everyday athletic injuries. 2/3 of injuries that people experience are athletes' wear and tear, aches and pains, bumps and bruises, sprains, strains, and there's not good navigation of the care system down the path to recovery for all these hundreds and thousands of clients that need just daily care and maintenance from being an active athlete. So MedPlay, not its real name, offers streamlining of the medical industrial complex, providing quick communication and resolution of the vast majority of these issues that athletes face. And when we say athletes, it can be everyday people that might go out for brisk walks or runs, people that play on softball teams, or even go to the gym for a pickup basketball game. That's the solution that MedPlay offered. And who's their target market? Hundreds of millions of people who are actively engaged in recreational, intramural, and organized sports every day in America. It's at least 1/3 of the country, maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of the country. Hundreds of millions of people are active. And this is what MedPlay sought to solve that problem for that target market. Furthermore, there's a differentiator. You can have direct pay through your phone, through your app, for the brutally complicated medical insurance industry. no copays, no going to a primary care provider for a sore muscle or an aching back. You don't have to wait long waits for seeing a specialist. That's the differentiator. Get it through an app, contact a physical athletic trainer, and get this help you need as an active American. It's designed and built in consultation with the collective experience of over 100 years of athletic training professionals. That's its secret sauce. That's its team or its skill. It's got from all levels of competition. There are athletic trainers in this app that you can access that have worked in pro sports, college athletics, club sports, and the interface that the user goes through with the app helps them access these trainers. That's the secret sauce. And even though this app is still in production, the metrics you might say is access to 50 plus athletic trainers. Or once it becomes a real product, you can say, we've had 10,000 downloads to date. That's a very persuasive metric that you might see in this persuasive elevator pitch about this app. And then a simple milestone might be since 2018, when this app was started and created. So that's how you can go from that value proposition canvas, the pains, the gains, the problem, the solution, and talking about your target market's needs in a persuasive series of sentences that we call the elevator pitch. So, create your own elevator pitch by writing down 3 or 4 simple sentences that talk about your product or service. What is the problem that you solve for? Use that pains section of your worksheet that we did. What is the answer you provide? Use your pain relievers and gain creators section of the worksheet to help create a sentence about the solution. Who's the target market? That's the whole left side of that canvas. What are their jobs to be done? How do their pains get relieved and gains get created? That's how you talk about your target market in your elevator pitch. So let's go ahead and create those sentences, write them down, and then practice in your phone or in a mirror those sentences to become more familiar with an elevator pitch that you yourself create from the value proposition canvas. Let's go ahead and create those sentences that you've made using your value proposition canvas to help practice an elevator pitch yourself. Any questions on how to use problem-solution thinking by creating a value proposition, understanding pains, gains, pain relievers, gain creators through the jobs that are to be done by your target market in creating an elevator pitch from the value proposition canvas. Put them in the comments and they can get answered. Okay, finally, I told you that we would talk about the pitch deck, which is a presentation that everyone should understand in creating a compelling business presentation for investment. There are many accelerator programs in our area and region that help you create pitch decks. But you should know essentially what makes up a pitch deck regardless of whether you get accepted into an accelerator program or experience the great resources that can be found around the state of New Mexico. So here are some pitch deck tips for anyone creating a series of slides to persuade people to invest in their business. Number 1, keep it simple. Less information is better than too much. You want your slides to be simple, convey high-level ideas, and leave room for questions. Simple and straightforward presentations always do better than detailed presentations full of bullets. Dodge those bullets. A slide full of bullet points won't help tell a story, and they're kind of boring. Try to use large fonts and pictures and just a few words on each slide. And tell your story through the words you use, not bullets on a slide. Help tell your story through visuals and just a few words to help create emotional attachment to your ideas. Tell a story. Focus on grabbing the interest of your audience and getting your audience excited. Your deck doesn't need to be the complete guide to your business. It just needs to generate interest so that you can move on to the next step. Tell stories about how your customers' problems get solved and how you've helped them with your product or service. Tell stories about how they currently experience problems in the marketplace and how you solve those in a unique and compelling way. The more you can tell stories that investors can relate to, the more you'll be able to build excitement for your company. Next, don't overstate the market opportunity. Instead of a top-down approach where you say, I only need to reach 1% of the population in New Mexico to make a financial success of my company, go from the bottom up and talk about how you've been successful for 1 customer or 10 customers or 50 customers and why investment will help you achieve many, many more customers than that. Also, make it so that your pitch deck can stand alone without your presentation. Put enough on your slides that can remind an investor why your ideas are compelling and worth investment. You should be able to tell some of your story through your slides without you being there to tell it. Investors might want to flip through that deck again, look at the PowerPoint or printouts of that presentation. It needs to have enough content that it can stand alone without you being there to present it. So, let's look at the 10 recommended slides by a gentleman named Guy Kawasaki. Guy Kawasaki is a startup hero who was at one point Apple's chief brand evangelist, which is just a fancy way of saying a chief guy at the company that gets people excited about Apple's products and services and latest developments. Later, he was the chief brand evangelist at Canva, which is an amazing company that turned PowerPoint presentations and decks like this on their head so that anyone can use them. So Guy Kawasaki has a guide for using 10 different slides to get investors excited about investing in your company. Slide 1 is the title slide, where you simply put your company name, your contact information, and your name and title. Maybe it has your cell phone number so that an investor can get in touch with you. The second slide is the problem that you solve, or the opportunity in the marketplace. We've talked a lot about problem construction, so just repeat all that you've learned through your value proposition canvas and describe the pain that you're alleviating or the pain relievers, the pleasure you're providing. The goal is to change the pulse rate of the investors. Get them excited about this problem to be solved. If they see it as a uniform problem that needs to be solved in the marketplace like Uber did to solve the problems of cabs, stinky back seats, and drivers that might not know where you're going, then get them excited through this problem and opportunity to be solved. Slide 3 is your actual value proposition. Explain the value of the pain you alleviate or the pleasure you provide. Talk about the value you're creating. Slide 4 is the underlying magic in what you are proposing. Describe the technology, the secret sauce, those skills, that magic behind your product or service. The less text and more diagrams that you're able to do here, the better. If you have a prototype or a physical demonstration, do that here. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a prototype is worth 1,000 pictures. So this is where you would show the underlying magic or secret sauce of what you're trying to do. Slide 5 is your business model. Briefly put up a business model canvas or talk about the 9 essential building blocks and how people's money is going to translate into buying your products and services. Why are people going to be clamoring for your business model that you present here? Slide 6 is your go-to-market plan. How are you going to reach customers without breaking the bank? Talking about using social media to go viral and to create thousands of visitors to your website is not realistic. As a matter of fact, Guy Kawasaki says pretty bluntly that it's a bunch of BS. Next, in slide 7, do a competitive analysis. Who are your competitors? And when you say to yourself or your investors, my product is so innovative, my app has never been done before, I don't have any competition, that also is utterly meaningless. Everyone has competition. Let me repeat, everyone has competition. Your buying dollar is competition. Even if you have the most creative video game that's ever been created, people might choose another game, or go to a movie, or go to a sporting event. There's always competition for dollars that get spent in the marketplace, even if you have the most innovative product you've ever created. Slide 8 is your management team. I hate to say it, but most investors will not invest in a single person. They need either a team of people in your company or the prospect of having a team with your product or service. Very few companies are invested as single members and single solopreneurs. So keep that in mind. Have a management team in place or at the ready to be ready for investment. Slide 9 are your financial projections and key metrics. Once again, show a 2 to 3 year forecast. Do this in a creative visual way. Don't show a blow up of your actual cash flow or projections or an Excel spreadsheet. Find a way to do a visually pleasing way of showing your key metrics and your financial projections. And lastly, do some current status, any accomplishment, how you will use funds. Explain the current status of your product, what the next version might look like after investment, and talk briefly about how you'll use money that might be invested in your company, your idea, or your business. I would like to talk now about some additional resources or inspiration for people that are looking to create compelling stories and compelling business ideas that are presented for investment. I highly recommend a radio show and podcast called How I Built This. It tells the story of many companies and ideas and how they were created, including Airbnb, Cliff Bars, Spanx. All these companies have a story of how it was built, how they were invested in, and how they scaled. How I Built This is a wonderful podcast and radio show that you can find and listen to for inspiration and ideas on presenting your business presentations for investment. There's also the Shark Tank TV show, which, while it has its limitations, is a nice understanding of how to present to people, how to talk about sales, how to talk about your product and service in a persuasive way. There's even some New Mexico companies that have been on Shark Tank that are kind of fun to watch. I also recommend watching longer value proposition Canvas videos that are on YouTube and other video services, like the ones presented by the Carlson Center for Innovation at Sacramento State University. I've provided a link for you here in the slides. Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship is at Sacramento State University, and they have many videos, including those on value proposition Canvas. Other steps that you would want to make as you continue down this journey to seek investment in your business are to complete your business model canvas. Once again, I mentioned there are many videos online and even training classes locally and regionally, including many on Zoom, that you can take to complete the business model canvas. I also highly recommend you conduct an exercise called brand pillars as part of any brand building you might do for your product or service. Conducting a brand pillars exercise is really valuable in being more persuasive and creating a tagline, compelling fonts and colors, and visual assets for your brand. I also think you should create a mission statement, as I mentioned earlier. It might be valuable to undertake an exercise called How to Get from Value Proposition to Brand Promise. I can't go into it here, but a value proposition and a brand promise are distinct but related elements when talking about your product or service. The value proposition that we spent so much time on today outlines the unique benefits and value that a product or service offers your customers, and it focuses on problem-solution thinking. On the other hand, a brand promise represents the emotional or experiential commitment a company like yours makes to its customers. It talks about what customers can consistently expect from your product or service, and it builds trust and loyalty. So having a brand promise that you create out of your value proposition is a valuable activity and an additional step you can take. And lastly, I would encourage you to join a Toastmasters group or get some public speaking training from your local community college or organization locally where you can learn skills and practice those in public speaking. It's a very valuable exercise. I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation and learned more about making compelling business presentations that are worthy of investment through the problem-solution thinking in creating an elevator pitch from a value proposition canvas. Thank you.